Hey preppers, Rich lying outside the bunker, just hanging out with the pups tonight, and it's Thursday, so Thursday is your range tip of the week. I thought we'd do something a little bit different this week instead of going over a particular item, a particular point. I thought, hey, how about some stories from the range? You know, being an RSO and being at this one location for over 40 years, got a lot of stories to tell. So I wrote down a couple of these just to kick my mind in. I thought you might find some of these interesting. And if you shoot in a range a lot, you might have met some of these people, not particularly these people, depending on where you live, but people like this. The first story I call no no sight shooting. Um, Anybody that comes to or goes to any kind of range realizes that you can't shoot a rifle without sights at a range. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you end up shooting, shooting the ceiling, shooting the floor, shooting somebody else's target. But we had this one guy come in, him and a buddy, and they had their girlfriends with them, and he had bought a new SBR. And I don't know if you've seen them, but they make sights that actually go on the side at an angle, 45-degree angle on the side of your rifle. I've got them on mine just in case my red dot goes down, but that's all he had. That was it. And I walked over there, and I think I'd already told him there was something they couldn't do, and he was already ticked off. He was new to the range, never been there before. And so I said to him, I says, hey, you got sights for that rifle, right? Or that SBR, don't you? And he goes, well, first of all, it's a pistol. I said, okay, it's a pistol. I apologize. But you can't shoot that without sights. What do you mean I can't shoot it without sights? Show me where it's written that I can't do that. I said, well, I don't think it's in the rules, but our manager says the same thing. He goes, well, who's your manager? I said, look, we looked out the windows of the range. If you ever been at a shoot point blank, there's windows on one half of the range. I says, that guy right there, go talk to Jim. So he went out there, and he was out there for like 15 minutes. Now his clock's ticking. His buddies are shooting. His girlfriend's standing there. She's getting pissed. He comes back in. He gives me this weird look, and he kind of goes away. He goes, yeah, it's just bullshit. This is terrible. So I walked over there. I go, they're not my rules, but can I prove a point for you? He says, what do you mean? I said, I said to his girlfriend, you ever shot this rifle before? No. I said, okay. I said, do me a favor. Grab the pistol. It was an SBR, actually. And aim at the target like you're going to shoot it. She said, okay. And I told the guy, I says, come with me a second. So we went one over and at an angle, and she's holding it there, she's getting it ready, and lo and behold, the rifle's like this. And I said, are you ready to shoot? She says, yep. I just looked at him, I went, see my point? That even made him a lot less happier, and he was the only one in the group that didn't say goodbye when they left. So that was shooting without a sight. That was an interesting story. Breaking your wrist. I got notice a lot of our shooters that come in, and it doesn't matter the age. It really doesn't matter the age. And you can see it if you know what you're looking for, even without dry fire shooting. You can see somebody just starting, as they pull the trigger, they break their wrist down. So there was a group of, I guess it was 6 guys. They had 3 lanes, and they were having a good time. They're all having fun. They were trying each other's rifles, and they were being really good about it. They left, the rifles and the pistols in the lanes and everything, and they were just laughing at this one guy because he said, you can't hit the broadside of a barn. You just can't do it. So we were full that day, so I was going back and forth and kind of walked over, and I'm watching. He went back up to shoot because they were taking turns, and I noticed the same thing. I walked in there and says, hey, can I give you a tip? He goes, yeah. I says, you're breaking your wrist. He goes, what? I said, you're breaking your wrist. When you pull your trigger, you're pulling down. Get that knuckle out and pull straight back. And I said, dry fire first. Just take, you know, don't put your magazine in, just rack it and see what you're doing. So he did that a few times and everything, and he just kind of smiled at me. Then he loaded his magazine, put it in there, and I walked down the line and came back up, and he had these big grin on his face, and he's showing his target to everybody and everything, and I go, better? He goes, oh yeah, much better. He showed me the target, and he was spot on. So, I mean, that was just, you know, I do that all the time for people, you know, and it kind of explained the whole dry fire thing, how important dry fire is, so you can see what your pistol's doing, if you're pushing it, if you're breaking your wrist up or down, if you're pulling it. It's just so important, you know, and that's the thing, you know, we've talked about before, is if you're not proficient at 5 feet or 5 yards, you're not going to be proficient further on. And the reason for that is, and I see this all the time, people will take their concealed carry pistol and they'll shoot at, you know, 30 yards or 25 yards, or they'll shoot at, you know, 30 feet and stuff like that. And first of all, it's illegal to hit somebody. I mean, it's outside the range of the 21 feet. But half the time they don't even hit the target. So get proficient, you know, like the 5 yard, you know, or, you know, the 5 feet or whatever, and get used to that, because that's going to be your target range anyhow for concealed carry. Now, dry fire. Here's another one, and it doesn't happen this time of year normally, unless the boyfriend or the husband does not tell the girlfriend where they're going. Proper clothing is really important. I'm just going to forget that part of the story. But low blouses and sandals really don't work with hot brass. They can be dangerous a couple different ways. If it's a new shooter, they get burned, it goes down their blouse, down their neck, on their feet, or whatever, and they have a tendency to jump around, and new shooters don't set the firearm down normally, and they turn around and they're yelling, help me, and they still have the firearm in their hand. And this happened with particularly one lady. She not only had very low-cut blouse on, but she had like literally nothing on her feet. Very, you know, just a real thin kind of top on her shoe and a real flat shoe. And the only thing that she did right was set the firearm down every time it happened. And it didn't happen once, didn't happen twice, it happened 4 times. And by the 4th time, she says, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. And the funny thing about it was she had a wrap, a light coat that she could have put on, it would have been fine. Of course, the whole thing was, I think if her boyfriend would have told them they were going shooting, it would have been a whole different story. The other thing was she had fingernails about that long, which really had a hard time holding on to the firearm. So, but that was interesting. Not that I don't like looking at nice looking ladies in the range, but you got to dress properly, because you're only going to hurt yourself. You could possibly hurt or wound somebody else doing that. New shooters and a new firearm. You'd be amazed at how many times people here in Illinois, you all know that you have to have a FOID card, but they have 0 training. They got their FOID card, they're really happy, they come in and either rent, normally it's their own firearm because they come in by themselves, and they say, I don't know what I'm doing. I go, new firearm? Yes. Have you ever shot before? No. And we get them all the time, and it's interesting. Here's the funny thing about it, and this goes for you ladies. I find the ladies are much more open to my instruction, and they listen much better, and I think ladies shoot better outside the box. Now, down the road, guys, you know, you kind of catch up to them because you have a tendency to shoot more often. We don't have a lot of girls, unless they're police officers, that come in and shoot a lot. But I remember particularly these 2 girls had never shot before. They came in, and one was absolutely scared to death to shoot the firearm. And the other girl was doing really good. I mean, I showed her all the basics, you know, how to hold it, where to put your finger, how to load the magazine, obviously, how to load the magazine, the two ways to send your slide forward, either with the slide release or on the serrations in the back. And I always tell them, just let it go. You know, don't be gentle with it. The firearm doesn't, you don't need to be gentle with a firearm. Just have to know where to aim it. And she was doing really good, but the other girl, she just wouldn't. So I walked over there. We were low. We didn't have many people in there. And she was saying, I can't do this. I just can't do it. I said, why? She goes, well, this is all I hear in my neighborhood at night is gunfire. And I said, well, if that's where you live, don't you think it'd be a good idea to learn how to shoot a firearm and get your own FOID card and, you know, and get comfortable with it so, you know, it isn't so scary? She goes, yeah, I suppose. So, like I said, I think they may have been the only two in the range that day or at that time, and I just walked her through it nice and slow, and she started shooting. She got to be very happy. She actually never missed a target. No, I'm not saying she had, you know, a pattern, you know, this big. I mean, it was, you know, a good sized pattern. It was kind of all over the place, but she hit the target every time, and she did very well. Now, I'm not saying that for, you know, for me to, for you guys to think, oh, what a great instructor this guy is and all that kind of stuff. I do okay. I mean, the people that I do instruct do pretty good. But I tell that story for all of you out there that maybe have a wife or a husband or a significant other that you want to train. It just takes time. You have to do it very slowly. I've even seen people come to the range 1 or 2 times and never shoot, and then shoot the third time. You can't get upset with people if they don't want to shoot. It's kind of scary. I see people come in all the time and they jump. Every time they hear a gunfire, they jump and laugh. They jump and laugh. Or some people just walk right out of the range, and you can't fault them for that, you know, because it's a whole new experience, especially it's like these ladies that actually lived in a neighborhood that the gunfire that they heard was not range gunfire. It was deadly gunfire, which is unfortunate, really is. But she got comfortable. She's come back several times. She's gotten lessons. She's gone to some of our lady-only classes. She's done private lessons, and actually she's quite a good shot right now. And she got her concealed carry, and she feels a lot safer. So that was, you know, that was one of the good stories about that. Another story, wrong ammo. I get this all the time. You know, we had a guy in the other day, and he goes, hey, I need some help. I don't understand why my firearm's not shooting. And I grab the magazine and I look at it, and it's supposed to take a bullet about that big, and the bullet in there is about that big. And I said, that's interesting. I go, what caliber is this firearm? And right then and there, he knew that he had put .380 in a 9mm. And he just looks at me, he goes, never mind. And I kind of walked away. That happens all the time. I mean, I've seen it where people try to jam 45 in a 9mm, and they're just cranking it in there. They don't understand why it won't go in. They'll go, hey, excuse me, RSO, I'm trying to figure out, I think they sold me the wrong ammo. And I go, no, that ammo's for that firearm, and that ammo's for that firearm. And they just look at me, and I go, and I'm, you know, I'm really cool by going, common mistake, you know, you just separate it. And that kind of leads to another story where the most of the time that this happens is you get guys that come in, they set every single firearm on their tray out there. The magazines are all over the place and everything. They know which magazine goes with which firearm, but man, the person that's with them, the group's with them, because they're moving back and forth and stuff, and they start putting the wrong magazine in, and I mean, I saw one guy just hammering on it one time, trying to get the magazine in. It wasn't the magazine for that firearm. It was a different firearm, and a different caliber, and all that. So, again, another story for you guys and gals that take people. Yeah, I'm leaving you gals out of it because this never happens with you girls. It really doesn't. If you bring people with you that haven't really shot or really know, concentrate on one or two firearms and pay attention. Get off your phone, pay attention. They're going to be happier. They might like the sport better, and they may have a more, they may want to come with you more often, you know. And with that, guys, there's this whole thing about loading the ammo. A lot of people don't know how to load the ammo, and if you've never loaded it before, that's very true. You'd be surprised how many times I've seen people load the ammo backwards in their magazine, and it doesn't matter if it's pistol, if it's SBR, if it's a rifle. It's pretty incredible how many times I've seen ammo loaded backwards in a firearm, and they put it in and they're just trying to. I've seen guys just trying to jam the slide forward, and obviously it's not going to fit, but and then they go, hey, RSO, you help me out here. I what's going on? I go, I'll look at it and I go, well, you loaded your ammo backwards, and a lot of times it takes some difficulty to get the magazine out because they've actually pushed the sidewalls on the ammo or on the magazine a little bit from the ammo, and you can't get it in. So, but I say this story for last because this has happened several times, and it was very interesting. The gentleman that comes in all the time, he likes to rent different rifles and different pistols, but he normally, likes to shoot his own. And in this case, he recently had bought a brand new 45, and he was shooting that for a while. And he also has a 9mm 1911, and I never knew this before, but he likes to reload. He just started reloading and stuff like that. And he was shooting, having a good time. I was a couple lanes over, and I just heard pop. It just sounded really weird. It was very strange, and I know a lot of you guys you already know what I'm gonna say here, but it wouldn't, it just had this weird sound to it, and I come out of the one booth and around, and he's calling me over. He says, "Hey, I can't get my slide open." I said, "Okay." So I go over there and working, and that's basically what you got to do. Just basically work it, unless you can reach in there with a small knife or a screwdriver and push that bullet down, and then she'll pop right open. I'm working, and she pops open, and he had already dropped the magazine. The round came off because he said, "Yeah, it's a live round," and when it came out, it wasn't a live round. Well, it was busy that night. I wasn't really thinking. I should have checked, but I didn't. The rest of the firearm, and I know now even more. You know what I'm gonna say here. So I go on down, and I'm just goofing around and with a couple people, and he says, "Hey, can you come down here again?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "What's the matter?" He says, "The bullets won't feed." I says, "Okay." I said, "Wait, what? The bullets won't feed?" He goes, "Yeah, the bullets won't feed." I go, "Hold on, go ahead and set the firearm down. I'll be right back." So I went and got one of the small fiberglass rods that we have, and I stick it in there, and I noticed that it goes in about that far. Pull it out, and I measure it. I went, "You have a squib load." He goes, "What?" I said, "Did your firearms just have a real strange pop the last time you fired this?" He goes, "Yeah, it sounded kind of strange." He said, "But I didn't think it was my firearm because it just, I heard that." I said, "Yeah, what happened is you've got a squib load in there, and it's in to a certain point where it won't feed in another bullet." I says, "You, my man, should go out and buy a lottery ticket because you are extremely lucky. Had that bullet gone a little bit farther into the barrel and it was able to feed another bullet and you pulled the trigger, a couple different things could happen. Your firearm is definitely going to explode. You could lose a finger or two. You could have pieces of shrapnel everywhere, because I've seen it happen. I literally watched a pistol explode, a barrel disintegrate, and the slide come flying off from a squib load happening, and then someone loading a bullet was able to feed and fire afterwards. I says, you are extremely lucky. And he had this real weird look on his face, and I'm going, it's pretty eye-opening, isn't it? He goes, well, it's more eye-opening because all these bullets that are in this firearm, I reloaded myself. I went, oh. He goes, yeah, I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to when I was doing the reloads. I go, yeah, apparently not. I guess, I says, if I were you, if you have any left, he says, I got about 15 rounds left. He says, I'm just going to get rid of them. I says, well, I mean, you could do that, but you're not going to fire it out of this firearm anyhow, because I can't get it out. You can't get it out. You're going to have to take it to a gunsmith, and they're going to have to get it out so it doesn't screw up the rifling of your barrel. So he learned a pretty expensive lesson. I haven't seen him since. This was last week when this happened. But squib loads are dangerous. If you pull the trigger and it doesn't sound right, there's a reason why it doesn't sound right. So that was my squib load story. But all those stories are true. All those stories happened at the range. And I used to have this thing really set up nice so it wouldn't hit me in the head. But anyhow, there are some stories from the range. We'll do this again and have a few more stories. But like I said, I'm sure you all either have had these happen to you or you know people like this at the range. But from myself and the two pups, I want to say thank you, subscribers. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video and you'd like to hear about more stories from the range, let me know, because I got a bunch of them, believe me. And hopefully you're out there surviving the winter and having a good time with all the snow that we're having. Please pass this video along to other shooters that you know or people that you know. Please have them subscribe. Please have your significant other subscribe, or your older kids subscribe to our videos. Don't forget, we are also on TikTok now under PrepU on YouTube. So you can check out some of our 1 minute videos. Like I said before, it's hard to put it into a 1 minute video, but we have. And there's some good stuff on TikTok for us right now. I guess we got about 21 videos on TikTok. We're brand new. And of course, we're on Facebook and a couple other places. But like we always say when we end our video, number one, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And always be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you have plenty of food, whether you have to bug out, evacuate, or if you're going to shelter in place. And please, prep like your life depends on it, because it really does. Thanks a lot. Take care. See you soon.